Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending the United States Army Galesburg Recruiting Office Virtual Job Fair event. I would like to introduce you to Staff Sergeant Greer. Staff Sergeant Greer will tell you about his company, job openings, and how to apply for those openings. Staff Sergeant Greer.
Thank you. Then thank you for the introduction. So again, my name is Staff Sergeant Greer. I work at the Galesburg Army Recruiting Office. I'm the station commander here. Just to give you a little background about myself personally. I've been in the Army for 13 years now. I've had many different job titles in the Army. I've been a military police officer, a human resources specialist, a recruiter, and now a station commander. Throughout my 13 years, I've got to do a lot of different things with the Army that they've helped me achieve some goals and passions in my life. They've helped pay for my education and help pay for my continuing education. They've given my family a lot of great benefits, and there's a lot of things that the Army has to offer. We do have over 150 jobs available in the Army and the Army Reserve, which we'll kind of touch on some of that today, and we'll answer any questions that may come up. Just to give a brief introduction about some others that work here in the office. We have Sergeant First Class Stewart, who works here. He is in the regular Army as well. And we have Sergeant First Class Maine, who is in the Army Reserve. And he is our reserve recruiter and our reserve expert. I'd like to turn that back over to you, sir.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that, Staff Sergeant Greer. Again, if you do have any questions for Staff Sergeant Greer regarding the process of signing up for the Army and or the reserves, please feel free to enter those questions into the chat and we'll get those answered for you ASAP. In the meantime, Staff Sergeant Greer, I know you're kind of familiar with the process already. I have some kind of pre-prepared questions that I have on my end that I'd like to ask you just for the folks that are on the call or who might be tuning into this call at a later date. Would you be available to answer some of those questions, sir?
Absolutely, I would love to.
Fantastic. So first one that I have for you is how long does the process of signing up typically take from the point of actually submitting the application to being extended that formal offer?
So the process for coming in and from the initial time of contact is generally about 14 days. And within that 14 days, you'll fill out an application. And you'll fill out all your basic information, where you worked or have worked, kind of just like a regular resume and application type deal. We'll then set you up with the ASVAB test. That is the test that goes over your aptitude and kind of gives you an idea of where you need to be for the Army and in regards to where you qualify for and what you qualify for. After you complete that test, we get you scheduled for a physical. Once you do that medical physical and everything's good to go there, you get to raise your right hand for the job that you do select yourself with us. And so generally it takes about 14 days. Some things can make it go a little bit faster or longer. It also just depends on the individual, but I would say on average 14 days.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, sir. And if you recall, I do believe last time we had a question that came up regarding the ASVAB. Does your organization provide any sort of preparatory assistance, if you will, for the ASVAB for folks that may not be familiar with its processes or just the general flow of how the test goes, or if they have, specific subject areas that they might need to sharpen?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different things out there to study for the ASVAB. But one thing I like to particular push out there is March to Success. So it's March, the number 2, success.com. That is brought to you by the Army and prepared for it. It has different modules that can go over each section of the test with you. They can take practice tests on there. They can take an overall practice test, or they can just take practice tests for the section that they're trying to study the most on. There's 10 sections to the ASVAB, and March Success will kind of help you out with all those. It does take a little bit of time to get through all the modules, but it's all self-paced. So you can make that training go as fast or as slow as you want as well. But it is a great source, and I definitely recommend it to those that are kind of wanting to know what the ASVAB's like and kind of get a feel for it.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Staff Sergeant Greer. Another question that I have for you that I believe kind of is born out of another statement that you made. Can you verify, in fact, that the Army does allow you, assuming you meet the minimum qualifications, to choose the designation or the job that you would have? I know that's something that could be seen as a big incentive for the folks who might be, determining which branch they might want to explore or sign with.
Absolutely. So after they take the ASVAB and we have their score, anywhere from a 31 to a 99 is a passing score. We show them live in our office on our computer in the system everything that they qualify for and that we have training seats available for. So an individual may have up to 20, 35 jobs that have training seats and that they qualify for. And we'd go over every one of those jobs and some of the options that can come along with those jobs. And from there, they get to select which job they think they like the most, or which fits for their goals and passions that they'd like to pursue.
Fantastic. And kind of building off of that question, sir, if there is a title or designation or job that somebody is dead set on, they meet the minimum qualifications, do they have the ability to be put on, let's say, a wait list or something similar to be able to wait until said job would open up for them?
That's a great question. So unfortunately, there's not like a designated wait list. I'd like to kind of give this reference to explain it. It's kind of like when you're signing up for maybe a college course and there's 35 seats available for the class that you want. But once those 35 seats are gone, there's nobody else that can sign up for that class. And that's kind of how it works here when we talk about training seats and availability. Not every job will have a training seat available to it. But the great thing about the Army is, all those same benefits translate to every job that we have. So it may not be the one dead set job that you have, but we're going to have something similar in that field that we can also set you up with, that'll also get you all those great benefits that you wanted with the other job as well.
Understood. Thank you for that clarification, sir. Another question that I have for you, and this is one that of course has come up frequently with a lot of these events, is how is not just your office, but perhaps the organization at large handling, the whole COVID pandemic, safety precautions? And do you all allow for the opportunity, perhaps maybe for a first interview or meeting, to be done virtually?
That is a very good question. How we're dealing with the COVID-19 environment is every day we come in early and we wipe down all of our desks and all the furniture in the office. And also prior to every appointment and after anyone comes in or out of the office, we have cleaning procedures that we go over. Before anyone can enter our office, we'd have them sign in on a sign-in sheet with their name and information. And we also have them take their temperature. We also take our temperature at the beginning of the day, every day here as well. And in regards to the virtual aspect, so we have a lot of different ways that we can help facilitate that initial appointment. We can do it like we are doing here through Zoom. We have Microsoft Teams. We can do it over Facebook Live. We have a lot of different things that we can set up to do not only just the initial appointment, but there's a lot of processing if that's something they want to pursue. We can also do a lot of processing online as well, and it's completely safe. And all their documents and personal information would also be safe as we go through that, and kind of keep the human interaction at a minimum if that's what they like. But at the same time, we are definitely offering people to come on into the office and have that face-to-face. We do wear masks in the office, and we do ask and require others to wear masks as well when they come in to see us.
Fantastic. Thank you for elaborating on that, sir. The next question that I have for you is probably one that many folks out there have regarding, signing up with the armed forces, if you will. And that is, can you kind of cover what some of the standard benefits are that an individual might get from being in the Army, and then kind of building off of that? Are there any particular fringe benefits that you might like to mention for folks who might be interested?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of great benefits that we have to offer, and just some of the things that I'd like to highlight are we have money for college, of course, and all the training that you do in the Army can also translate into college credits and college education. So those that are concerned about maybe not going to college right away and fall behind their peers, all the training that you do at basic training and your job training will actually translate into college credits, and it'll keep you on track and keep you on pace with your peers if that's something that they're concerned about. We also have financial assistance. We have education loan repayment programs and things of that nature. We do also offer for different types of jobs. There's also bonuses that can be attached to there. We have low-cost healthcare. We have affordable life insurance. You get a chance to travel. We have great retirement benefits. We have a lot of medical and dental care. And just overall, we have a lot of other great things in regards to facilities that the Army has to offer once you do enlist and get stationed somewhere, such as every installation has multiple gyms, recreation facilities, schools, elementary schools, high schools. We have all those located on those kind of positions.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, sir. We did get a question in the chat here. The question is, are there positions for mid to senior level experience, people that have been in the job market for 10 plus years?
Absolutely. So for those that have been in the job market or have, say, a college education as far as an associate's or bachelor's degree, especially if they have a bachelor's degree, they can look at coming into the officer side as opposed to just the regular enlisted side. And then certain jobs that might have training certifications can also kind of translate over into the Army, depending on the career path that they're looking at. So there are different things that we do have to offer. It also would just depend on having a one-on-one conversation to see what those are, and we can kind of go over and see where it fits.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, sir. And I just do want to reiterate, excuse me, if you do have any questions for Staff Sergeant Greer, please feel free to enter those into the chat and we will get those answered for you. Kind of doubling back to some of the questions that I have for you, sir. Kind of another thing that I wanted to cover is, can folks, regardless of whether they're on the reserve side or full, active duty, if you will they be expected to be paid for the time in which they're being trained and or the traveling piece of it as well? I know that's a question that has come up before.
Absolutely. So once they join and say you go to as an active, as we spoke about earlier, we are going to facilitate all of your travel. We'll get you to where training is going to be. And the day that you leave for training is the day that your pay starts. And how it works, with the Army is the 1st and the 15th, you get paid direct deposit. So we have you set all that up prior to you going to basic training. So everything is set up financially for you. And while you're in training, just like any of us other service members, we're going to get paid on the 1st and the 15th.
Excellent. Thank you for that, sir. Another question that I have for you is kind of an odd one, but again, being that we're talking armed forces here, it's one that I'm sure might be at the forefront of the minds of some. Question that I have is, do you have any restrictions on tattoos, hair color, piercings, any sort of, body issues, if you will, that folks might need to be aware of?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And we get that question a lot. In regards to tattoos, our tattoo policy is as long as it's not on your hands, neck, or face, those are going to be the only disqualifiers with tattoos as we talk about where they're located. Some of the other things that we take into account with tattoos are we also got to make sure that they're not gang related and they're not vulgar in nature and anything like that could offend others. But outside of that, that's what our tattoo policy is. Occasionally we can run what we call an exception to policy if they have a tattoo on their hand or somewhere on their neck. It also depends on size, and that's going to be based on an individual basis. It wouldn't be a guarantee that it would be approved. In regards to piercings, you can enlist into the Army with your ears pierced. However, if they're gauged, if you can see any light through the earlobe at all, we would not be able to process that in regards to those. And females are absolutely, they're allowed to have earrings. And then in regards to the hair color that you brought up, as long as it's a normal hair color and not like a neon blue or red or anything like that, you would qualify there as well.
Understood. Thank you for that, sir. And kind of another thing that I know would probably be at the forefront of some's minds as well is that, being that it's the armed forces, you're working for the federal government, obviously you're going to go probably through a pretty thorough background check, investigation, if you will. Would certain misdemeanor defenses or small petty crimes. Would those be disqualifying factors for folks who might be interested in serving?
That's a very good question. And that's another one that comes up a lot. In regards to that, that's also kind of a case by case basis on pending what the misdemeanors are. But generally speaking, I definitely would want them to reach out to us because there are certain things we can work with for sure. So I wouldn't want anyone to be discouraged and shy away from asking those questions and getting starting that process. It's definitely a conversation that we would have with that individual, and of course, the information that they would share with us would be only between us and that person. We wouldn't put that information out anywhere else. But there are some things that are going to be disqualifiers. A lot of felonies with weapons, things of that nature. But in regards to misdemeanors and that in general, it definitely is a case by case basis, and would definitely want them to still reach out to us so we can see if that's something that we can help them out with. It would make their process a little bit longer than that average 14 days because they may possibly require a waiver and some extra paperwork. However, in the end, it would be worth the wait if it would be approved.
Understood. Thank you for that information, sir. I don't believe we covered this yet, but are there any sort of minimum educational requirements that somebody would need, in order to serve?
Absolutely. So you have to be a high school graduate or equivalent. So GED would also work. Homeschooling are also qualified. Different schools sometimes require what we call a tier evaluation, but we would track that down and go through that. But generally speaking, high school equivalent or high school diploma at a minimum.
Excellent. Thank you for that, sir. And I don't know if this was something that you had covered during your benefits explanation, but will the Army cover things such as continuing education expenses? So say somebody has certifications in something as a civilian, they join the Army, they want to continue that on. Will the Army, cover a certain amount of those types of expenses?
Absolutely. So continuing and furthering their education is absolutely something that the Army likes and appreciates, and they also will help pay for that as well. And depending on what they're going for, it's either going to be paid in full or they're going to get assistance financially to that. And also, again, it depends on what they're going after and what they're looking at.
Understood. Thank you for that, sir. So I think we'll go ahead and pause for a moment here. I just want to reiterate again, if you do have any questions for Staff Sergeant Greer, please feel free to enter those into the chat and we'll make sure we get that answered for you. In the meantime, sir, as we kind of begin our wrap up of our session here today, I do have a final question for you. That question is, what are the opportunities for advancement within the United States Army? And then are there any sort of success stories that you'd like to highlight for the folks who are either on the call today or who will be tuning in later?
Absolutely. So some of the great success stories throughout my time in recruiting and working with people is just working with individuals that may not necessarily have the means to say pay for a college education, or they didn't necessarily couldn't find that job that they wanted, but they were able to find it through the Army. And for some of these people, they come in and some people might think of the Army as a stepping stone and kind of use that to pad their resume, get leadership experience. But what we found is a lot of people come in and who maybe not necessarily thought they were going to stay in, have now been in for 13, 15, and even 20 years and end up retiring from the Army. Especially depending on what time they come in, even at a pretty young age, we have people retiring after 20 years of military service at 38, 39 years old, and then starting another career or enjoying retirement for a while. And there's just a lot of great things that can come from the Army. We have a lot to offer, and I would definitely recommend at least talking with us and getting that information. It may not be what you end up choosing to do, but I definitely recommend at least having a conversation to see and get that information so you can look back and know that for sure that was something I was interested in and maybe didn't want to move forward with, or that's absolutely what I'm interested in. I'd love to get started. And it just all starts with just a conversation in a very low pressure environment. No one's going to force you to do anything. It's just about having a conversation about goals and passions that individuals have and how the Army can help either facilitate those goals and passions or lead you down the right path to meeting those goals and passions in your life.
Understood. Thank you for that information, sir. So if folks do have questions regarding the recruitment process or just want to kind of initiate that conversation with you, if you will, what would be the best way of getting a hold of you?
Absolutely. So we have multiple different ways you can get a hold of us. You can call us here at our station. Our office number is 309-342-6167. And anybody that answers the phone here is going to be able to help you and answer any questions that you may have. Another option is to come by our station. We're located at 503 Knox Square Drive, Suite 126 in Galesburg, Illinois. We're more than happy to talk to anybody that wants to stop by and kind of come in and get that information. Or if you want to reach out virtually, we do have a Facebook page. If you search Galesburg Army Recruiting in Facebook, you'll see our Facebook page. You're more than welcome to send us a message on there or do any kind of postings, and we'll definitely get back to you. So if you want to hit us up on the virtual side of the house, or if you want to give us a call or stop in person, we have a way to talk with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Staff Sergeant. I do, before we kind of wrap up the session here today, I want to provide you with one more opportunity to give any sort of summary statements or concluding remarks that you like to make for the folks who might either be on the call or might be tuning in at a later date, just anything in general that you'd like to include if you haven't already.
Absolutely. I would just like to thank you for allowing us and hosting this for us. I'd like to thank everyone that has stopped by today and kind of watched this, and those that are watching this later on after the fact. But one of the things I would like to close out, I see there's a question about an email address to communicate. Absolutely. It's a little lengthy, so I'm gonna go ahead and read that off. So it's to reach us, you can reach me at Eric, ERIC .c.grear.mil @mail.mil. That is my email, my work email. It goes directly to me, and I can facilitate conversations through there. Or you can always go on to goarmy.com, put in your information, and it'll also come to me as well. But that's all I have, and I just want to say thank you again for facilitating this for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your presentation today, sir. And I just did want to also make a note before we wrap up here today that I have recorded the session. As I stated earlier, I will be uploading this video to the Illinois WorkNet YouTube channel later this afternoon. And then later I will be linking said video to the United States Army Galesburg Recruiting Office booth that you see up on your screen. So if you do want to reference anything that was covered here today later, you can absolutely do so once that video has been made public. Again, thank you so much, Staff Sergeant Greer. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great weekend. To the folks that were on the call, the same. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.